Hi, StoryFilm here, and today, I am going to tell a story about a 2010 American action fantasy film called Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Before we begin, get yourself something to eat and drink, find a comfortable place, and enjoy the story. The film begins with Dastan, a street urchin in Persia, saving another orphan in front of the king of Persia. After showing courage in the marketplace, he is adopted by King Shahraman as his third son. 15 years later, Dastan and his royal foster brothers Garsif and Tus lead the Persian army in an attack on the holy city of Alamut, assuming that the city's inhabitants are selling weapons to their enemies, as shown by Nizam, the king's brother and advisor. Inside the palace of Alamut, Princess Tamina learns from her guards that they are besieged by the Persian army. They then took refuge in the tower to pray. While Garsif leads the first attack, Dastan, together with his friend Bis, decides to launch a surprise attack against his brother's orders. He succeeds in opening the eastern gate of Alamut and preventing further casualties. Aware of the impending clash, Dastan tried to block the advance of the enemy with a raging fire, which gave an advantage to Garsif's forces that stormed in. Princess Tamina hands over a sacred relic to her guardian and orders him to run away with it, but comes across Dastan during the fight in the city. Talk about bad luck. Dastan defeats the guardian and finds a strange dagger, which is the relic Princess Tamina wants him to escape with. Alamut falls to the Persians. Princess Tamina is captured and offered as a wife for Tus, which would make the city of Alamut part of the Persian Empire. The Persians celebrate their victory, but during the festivities, Prince Dastan is tricked into presenting King Shahraman with a poison gown seemingly given to him by Tus, which fatally burns the king. Dastan is accused of being the perpetrator of his father's murder. He escapes the castle with Princess Tamina on Garsif's horse, while Bis, his best friend, is killed trying to defend them.
After the murderer! He's on my horse! He stole my horse!
Together, they embark on a journey as a fugitive. On that night, Dastan wants to prove his innocence, while Tamina wants the dagger in his possession.
I kill you! And your problems are solved!
Tamina attempts to kill him and recover the dagger, but Dastan accidentally presses something on the dagger. He realizes that the dagger has the ability to turn back time and that only the wielder is aware of what happened. Dastan believes that Tus knew about the dagger and framed him for their father's murder in order to seize the throne and the dagger, thus become the most powerful ruler of Persia. The next day, in the Valley of the Slaves, the duo meets a group of merchant bandits, including the entrepreneur and organizer of ostrich races, Sheikh Amar, with his friend, Siso, who comes from the Ngbaka, the masters of throwing knives. Dastan offers Tamina as a slave in return for their hospitality and as revenge for her knocking him before. However, after Dastan and Tamina are brought to the ostrich race, the bandits try to steal the dagger of time and bring Dastan to the newly crowned Tus for the reward of his capture.
What's the boy doing?
After their successful escape from the bandit camp, Dastan and Tamina decide to return to Persia by disguising themselves as part of the entourage that attends the funeral ceremony of King Shahraman. There, Dastan tries to convince his uncle, Nizam, that he was not the cause of his father's death, and tells him that Tus planned his father's assassination and the attack on Alamut is to get the dagger of time, only to find that the dagger was taken by Tamina. He then notices the burns on Nizam's hands, which he claims are due to trying to pull the gown on King Shahraman. Dastan begins to suspect him, but then he is ambushed set by Nizam. After being chased like a raging bull by Garsif,
Where is he? Where is he?
Dastan manages to escape. Meanwhile, Nizam, who is now aware that Dastan knows he was behind all this, tries to convince the newly crowned King Tuss and Garsiv that Dastan is trying to overthrow them and must be killed without trial to prevent a rebellion. King Tuss is against this because they are not scavengers, and this would ruin his reputation as a newly crowned king. When this fails, Nizam hires the Hasansins, a group of highly skilled warriors who were once hired killers for the Persian royal family, to hunt and kill Dastan. Nizam had kept them secretly hidden for himself after King Shahraman disbanded them. Dastan manages to track down Tamina and explains to her that the king's villainous brother, Nizam, is behind it all. He begs Tamina to tell him the secret of the dagger, and Tamina tells him that in the underground city of Alamat, there is a massive sandglass of time that contains the same sand as the dagger. She also explains that the wielder of the dagger can only rewind time up to 1 minute, but if the dagger is thrust at the sandglass and activated at the same time, it can rewind unlimited time by the wielder. When Dastan heard this, he remembered the story of how Nizam saved Shahraman from the lion when they were young, and he realized what Nizam intended to do with the dagger. He wanted to go back to the time before he saved Shahraman and undo the act, thus ensuring that he would become king of Persia. However, Tamina reveals that should the dagger of time be used to pierce the sandglass, the sand would be released and destroy the entire world. The two then put aside their differences and agree to work together to protect the dagger. A few hours later, as they take a rest, Dastan and Tamina are again captured by Sheikh Amar and his group for causing chaos in the valley. The Sheikh wants to claim the reward for handing them over to renew his business.
You can't organize an ostrich race with just one ostrich!
But that night, when everyone is asleep, the Hasansin attacks the group by controlling a horde of deadly vipers. Many of the group die, but Dastan uses the dagger to turn back time and anticipate the attack. He manages to kill all the snakes single-handedly and save Siso in the process. The Hasansin then leaves in a sand dervish. The next day, Dastan and Tamina, now accompanied by Sheikh and Siso, who are promised a reward by Tamina if he is willing to help, travel to the secret sanctuary in the mountains near India, where it is possible to seal the dagger by returning it to the stone where it came.
Yeah! Not long dead. Last night, maybe. Touch at first. Asansin.
Nizam knows this place.
All dead!
After what happened, Tamina would have to sacrifice herself to return the dagger, but it fails as they are captured by Garsiv and his men. Dastan, however, manages to convince his brother of his innocence until Garsiv is killed by a flurry of spike knives thrown by a Hasansin. The Hasansins attack and kill many of the group, while their leader manages to wrest the dagger of time from Tamina, who was knocked unconscious in the battle by using a trained snake. However, Dastan is saved by Garsiv from the last Hasansin, who then succumbs to his injuries. After burying the dead, Tamina and Dastan, along with Sheikh Amar and Siso, return to Alamat, where excavation work to find sandglass is underway, to reveal the truth about Nizam and the dagger to Tuss. But first, they must retrieve the dagger, which is kept in the sacred temple guarded by the Hasansin who killed Garsiv. To face an opponent who uses ranged weapons, Siso, the master of the throwing knife, volunteers to fight the spike-wielding Hasansin to obtain the dagger. He succeeds in killing the Hasansin with a well-aimed throw but is fatally wounded in the process. Siso manages to throw the dagger out the window to the group before he dies. Sheikh Amar then distracts the guards by serving as a decoy, while Dastan shows his brother Tuss the truth about the dagger by killing himself.
This is no ordinary dagger. Press the jewel on its hilt and you will see. Stop! Oh, you pressed it.
When Tuss is about to believe in Dastan, he is killed by Nizam, and Dastan is put out of action by another Hasasin. The dagger is back in Nizam's hands before he leaves, but Dastan manages to defeat the Hasasin with Tamina's help. She finds out that the Hassan Sin was a spy in the city of Alamut and must have told Nizam about the dagger. Nizam goes to the Sandglass Caves beneath Alamut, while Dastan and Tamina try to stop him. Tamina opens a secret gate leading to the chamber, allowing them to take a shortcut to the Sandglass. On the way, they encounter the leader of the Hassan Sins. Dastan gains the upper hand and stabs the Hassan Sin before throwing him into the abyss. They then manage to reach Nizam before he can pierce the Sandglass with the dagger. During the final confrontation, Nizam pushes Tamina over the edge of the precipice and Dastan desperately catches her hand. Knowing that he cannot stop Nizam and save her, Tamina confesses her love to Dastan and asks him to let her go, sacrificing herself to stop Nizam. With anger and sadness in him, Dastan fights Nizam while they both hold the dagger. Dastan uses the button of the dagger to open the container of the sands of time and release all the sand. The sandglass slowly shatters and the sandstorm destroys Alamut. Dastan is then able to use the dagger and turn back time as the sandglass breaks, ending up at the point where he first held the dagger during the siege of Alamut.
Priest Dastan! Priest Dastan! Beast? You're here?
Of course I'm here. Our men have surrounded Alamut's palace. Battle is over.
Not yet.
Dastan uses his knowledge to expose Nizam's evil plan to his brothers, gaining their acceptance by revealing what Tuss told him about the meeting with their father before the attack. Realizing he is being exposed, Nizam tries to kill Dastan but ends up dying by Tuss's blade. After apologizing for sacking their city, Tuss suggests that perhaps Tamina should become Dastan's wife as a sign of goodwill. Dastan gives her back the dagger of time as a gift, while she looks at him in surprise.
Walk with me, Prince Dastan.
The film ends with the two of them are talking to each other and Tamina expressing her surprise at Dastan's sudden change in behavior and hinting that he may have discovered something, to which he replies that they are in control of their own destiny. Thank you for watching. Like, share and comment below if you like the recap and subscribe for more video.